order. Welcome to this second panel on today's inquiry from the Business and Trade Committee looking at the small business strategy. Thank you very much indeed to our witnesses from across the hair and beauty industry for coming together this afternoon to give us evidence. Caroline, perhaps I can just start with you. Can you just tell us what is going on in your sector at the moment? Is it growing? Is it shrinking? What are the kind of dynamics that you see?
Well, we class it as a perfect storm within the hair and beauty sector. So there's so many different things that are contributing to the small and micro businesses predominantly really struggling out there. We do state of the industry surveys on a quarterly basis. We've done it since COVID, so we get a really good picture of really what's happening in the sector. We also do independent reports, so we're part of that. But some of the figures are, 77% of businesses are going to have to increase their prices and put new costs in place. We've got 47% that are planning to reduce the numbers or cut working hours. We've got 59% that are actually going to be taking on less apprentices, and that's the blood of the industry as part of that. 20% moving from employed status to self-employed status.
Say that last bit again for us.
20% moving from employed status to self-employed status. Yeah. We've got 18% adopting a hybrid employment model.
What does that mean, Caroline? What's a hybrid employment model? That
means they're going to have full-time, like employed staff, part-time employed staff, as well as self-employed people within the business as part of that. And then 26% are actually planning to downsize or actually exit the industry. And there's obviously a big history in the industry. I have members that have been part of my organisation for 80 years. And we've been going round and, speaking to them and obviously speaking about some of the problems and some of the things. And they've gone through wars, they've gone through, various different things. And they just said, we have never seen it so tight as what it is at the moment.
Caroline?
For me, I've been involved in apprenticeships for the last 20 years. We've gone from having 14,000 in 2014 apprentices to now, as Toby said, under 5,000 as part of that. There's been a lot of things that have changed. There was the apprenticeship funding band, and it really did obliterate the apprenticeships. It's great now. We had to reapply and redo it, and it's great. But unfortunately now we've not got the employers to take those apprentices on. Careers advice is another thing. We're not the career of choice. We don't get promoted in schools. We're doing a lot of work on that sort of thing. But again, it's a whole different types of issues that have actually contributed to this. It's just not one thing. It's just that the employer status now is the icing on the cake for businesses. Can I add that? It's different. So each of the sectors are different. So generally what happens with hair and beauty is it all gets lumped into one. And unfortunately, the hairdressing sector is different to the barbering sector, which is different to the beauty sector.
This might be different to Victoria's.
So the beauty sector and the aesthetic sector, if you go on the high street, you will see a beauty salon and you will probably see an aesthetic clinic that are doing really well because the consumers are spending on that area. It seems to be peaking at the moment, and that's probably where your statistics are coming from on the growth side of things, not predominantly perhaps the hair and the barbering side, which is where...
What's Victoria then?
Caroline, have you got a sense of what impact those increases, the NI, the thresholds, minimum wage and everything is having on the almost faux self-employment figures?
From the figures that I said before, it's growing, and businesses have, particularly my members, unfortunately I have 4,600 members across the UK. They're all hair and beauty businesses, all different shapes and sizes as part of that. And one of the biggest things we did when we had the announcement is we put in a campaign, and it was about Survive and Thrive, and it was about supporting those businesses to look at their business model and look at it with a fresh set of eyes. So we've been working with Ofgem, we've been working with a lot of other people to really try and support those businesses, because at the grassroots they're frightened for their livelihood. And some of these businesses, as I said before, have been on the high street for such a long period of time, and then they're actually having something and they're going, actually we can only increase our prices so far until the consumer doesn't want to pay anymore. Self-employment, it isn't something new. So an ex-hairdresser 37 years ago, my first job, I was self-employed. I worked in that business. We used the cash till, you had the uniform and everything. It's not something new for the industry. What we've just found over the last couple of years is just massively grown. And I think there just has to be that informed, view from the industry to tell them that it isn't right and it's the way through. So, yeah, okay, HMRC have got checklists and stuff like that, but it really needs a mind shift. You're talking something of like 20, 30 years of people being used to this and being thinking it's a norm. It's not something that can change overnight.
I'm going to say there's lots of barriers and lots of challenges that have been come up today, but what I want to know is if you had one ask to go into the small business strategy and you had one ask from DBT, what would that ask be? And I was able to do that, so I'll go with Caroline first.
I think if I asked my members what would be the one ask, would be a reform on VAT would be one of the big things as part of that, and then on education, training, apprenticeship sides.